This is Democracy Watch. Mark, we have some major news here. There's a hearing happening today on Doge's access to the Treasury. This has obviously been an issue that has gripped the entire country for good reason. We shouldn't have random unelected bureaucrats with no oversight having access to all of our private secure information, including social security numbers. I'm going to put a tweet up here on the screen from Kyle Cheney from Politico. Judge Kolar Kotelly seems prepared to block Musk's two Doge allies detailed to Treasury from sharing any Treasury records with Musk or others outside the department. She wants a filing from DOJ by tonight to see if the government will agree to that plan. So can you give an overview of what we're looking at right now and whether this ruling, even against Doge, will actually be successful at stopping him from doing whatever he wants to do? And he hasn't seemed to be prevented from, nothing has seemed to prevent him from doing what he wants in the past.
Yeah, so this is a very important lawsuit brought by a number of labor unions, as you say, trying to protect the privacy rights of individuals and others who are in these databases, these massive databases in the federal government, this one in the Treasury Department. And, Brian, you and I, talk occasionally off air, and, you once said to me that you're getting flooded with people who are worried that their information is being accessed. And so are we at Democracy Docket. And I understand why, right? I mean, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of Americans count on the federal government in one form or another to send them either Social Security checks or disability checks, and they're in this database. I mean, all of us, frankly, are in this database, and they're concerned, what does it mean that not unelected bureaucrats, but really, cronies? I mean, these are people, some of whom apparently are barely out of high school, who, are rummaging around these big databases. And we are to assume that they both have good intentions, but also, Brian, that they know what they're doing, that they don't inadvertently, share this information or corrupt this data in a way that means people don't get their money, or that there's, a security risk to people having access to it. So this lawsuit was filed, very important lawsuit. We're seeing a lot of really important litigation being filed. So kudos here to this one, saying, look, this is a real problem. And the Judge Kolar Kotelly, I've appeared before her. She's a very serious and thoughtful judge. I think she was appointed by President Obama, if I recall. And she is raising the right question, which is, what is the access that has been granted, and who is it shared with? And she is focused in on this particular court order on that second question, which is, all right, so you got these people detailed to the Treasury Department. That's still put a footnote in that. We ought to at some point, when crisis is averted, we ought to come back to that. But all right, but where does it get shared? And there is no reason, if they are detailed to the Department of Treasury, it should leave the Department of Treasury. And so the question will be, what will the federal government do? What will the Department of Justice do? And my prediction is they are going to hedge. They're going to hedge. Because this goes to your point, Brian. Why does it feel like, Donald Trump and issued these illegal executive orders? You have Musk doing all this stuff, and it feels like a game of cat and mouse. Judge says no, and then they kind of take it in a slightly different direction, yet it doesn't seem like anything changes. And that is because the Department of Justice lawyers are hedging, and they are thinking that they can game this system, and they're going to be on the wrong end of a judge. And maybe it'll this case, one of the other cases, where they will have made a big mistake and they will land themselves in a whole lot of trouble for that judge.